All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry for the big delay. I just realized it's been about a month since I made a video, or made at least this type of video. I did upload a video about summer folk yesterday. Um, so I'm kind of experimenting with some stuff. Yeah, so uh, I just want to, kind of update what's happening and talk specifically about just kind of one day and some things that I've been experimenting with in my search for whatever it is I'm searching for. First of all, you might notice I have new glasses. They do have a red tint to them. Some people like them, some people don't. They're a little weird. They sometimes look green. But anyway, I hope it's not too distracting. It's a little weird to look at myself with these red eyes, but that's okay. Um, so yeah, so I mean, it's been a pretty surprisingly busy summer for me. Um, Summer's changed a lot. Remember, if you don't remember, I was a teacher, so summer, this was often the weekend. Summer Folk Weekend was kind of the signal that the summer was coming to an end and almost time to get ready to go back. And you try to madly get things done, get things in, and now that I'm retired, it's very different. I don't feel that pressure. We haven't done a ton of stuff. We've done our usual festivals, but yeah, it's been a pretty relaxed summer, relaxed in a sense, but busy with photography and writing and other things. So yeah, so today is Summer Folk, right? I'm fortunate enough to get to go and be their photographer again for the 12th year in a row. I think 12th, 13th maybe. Looking forward to it. Not looking forward to the rain if it comes. Although, as I've been saying to people, at least it's warm. Nothing worse than cold rain at a festival. Um, yeah, a couple other things I've been working on. I am going to try to do my more grass, bowling on grass 2 in September, Saturday, September 14th. This is a lawn bowling tournament, cannabis friendly lawn bowling tournament that we did last year. If you're interested, yeah, please let me know. We're trying to rush and get some teams entered to see if we can make it go. So you could email me at bowlingongrass@gmail.com for info or to register or for more details. I'll be posting stuff to my webpage and to social media soon. Um, so yeah, so I'm just going to talk a little bit today about an experience I had. I'm a big fan of Michael Pollan, this book in particular, How to Change Your Mind. Um, and I will tell you that I've been experimenting a little bit with some drugs. I mean, most of you know by now cannabis, but some other things. I don't think I necessarily have to name them. Maybe in the future I will. But a lot of this comes from Michael Pollan. And if you haven't read that book, he's basically, it says what the new science of psychedelics teaches us about consciousness, dying, addiction, depression, and transcendence. And a couple of things that really hit me when I read the book is, first of all, the idea of our default mode network. And I think this is why I'm a big fan of cannabis, because I think it does the same thing. Our default mode network is a part of our brain, just to try to sum it up really quickly. Our brains are lazy, right? Or efficient. Some people might say they're efficient. So they try to fill in kind of blanks, right? And this is what they say our default mode network is about. So if you think you're looking at something, and you're not really paying attention and not focusing, your brain is filling in a lot of the details. This is why, as most of us know now, memory is not reliable, right? In court, often we've discovered that people can have two very different memories. I know in my own life, our memories, my wife and our memories kind of have come together. She sometimes tells stories that are mine, and I'm sure I do the same to her. They change, right? A memory is a memory of a memory. So he argues that as we age, our default mode network gets stronger, right? And so interestingly enough, one of the things he says is he doesn't think he thinks psychedelics are kind of wasted on the young. Most of us experiment with these things when we're young, but really he says they're probably best for people over 50. And the reason that is because the ruts, right? If you think of our journey in life as a road, the ruts that we've created get deeper and harder to get out of. And so we kind of, I mean, I've been thinking about why people become more conservative in their old age. Don't take offense, I don't mean that politically necessarily. And I think that's part of it, right? We get in these ruts. And so he argues that psychedelics can um, get us out of those ruts, right? Make us see things. So basically what they do is they quiet the default mode network and we then see things as they actually are. And that's why anybody who's had experience with these things knows that you have kind of these wow moments, right? Like, holy, I never paid attention to the pattern in that plant or in the trees, or often nature's associated with it. So, yeah, so last Friday, maybe two Fridays ago, I've lost track of time. I did do a little tripping, and it was an interesting experience. You know, like a lot of my other ones have been. Nothing. One of my frustrations is that I think I really want something to happen. I want to have one of those moments, whether it's ego death or, enlightenment or whatever you want to call it. Um, but because I want it to happen so badly, it doesn't. Right? It's one of those paradoxes again. But it was lots of fun. I think I got some stuff out of it. But what I really want to talk about was the next day. So the next day, I was heading up to the cottage to see my family. They had left a couple days earlier, and I had to stick around for a few things. And I started thinking about some things that I hadn't thought about for a long time. Trauma, right? Trauma is a big thing in our world right now. Some people argue that, well, Gabor Mate, I hope I got that name right, argues that we've been traumatized since the moment we were born because our culture teaches us that what everything of value is external, when the truth is everything of value is internal. So there's this constant struggle. There's specific trauma that people have that is probably all different. COVID, in many ways, was likely traumatic for all of us, and we've all come through it and changed in many ways. That's part of the reason why I'm doing some of these other things, like the bowling on grass tournament, and we've tried to get people to come out to bocce and to get involved in their community, because it seems like those things are really lacking, right? People are, I don't know if they're scared to come out again, or they just have decided it's not worth it, don't really enjoy it. The world's a scary place. I'm just going to stay at home. But, we know that without our communities, things will go downhill pretty quickly. So I'm trying and that's why I enjoy things like summer folk and festivals, seeing people, but being out in the community. So anyway, back to my story. I was driving to my sister-in-law's cottage, so heading kind of towards Aurelia, and I started thinking about trauma a little bit. Actually, I was thinking about why I feel the need to not be a bystander anymore. I've really uh, I don't know if I'm as active on social media as I was, but I'm less inclined to put up with bullshit. I call people on it. I had someone unfriend me, because of the Olympic thing, the Last Supper idea, and simply because I challenged them. But I just feel like I can't be a bystander anymore, and because I feel like for a lot of my life I was. And so as I was thinking about this, I realized that I think this comes from trauma for me. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I have huge trauma in my life. I have had a very fortunate life in that I haven't had trauma. But here's something that not many people know, including my closest friends. I don't think they know. So I was known in high school for wearing just track pants. I never wore jeans, rarely wore other types of pants, just wore track pants. I got made fun of a lot for it. Um, but, I realized at some point that the reason that was is because, so when I was in up until grade 8, I was what I would describe a short little fat guy, right? And again, I don't remember being bullied a lot. Um, I mean, I do have friends who still call me fatty, so that gives you some idea that, that perhaps I was a little more than I acknowledged, but I don't remember that being traumatic. But I do remember walking down the street one day. I think I was in grade 5 or 6, and two girls that I knew were walking behind me, and one of them made a comment that it looked like I shit my pants. And that was, now I understand that's why I stopped wearing jeans. I was wearing jeans. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. And after that moment, I decided I'm not going to wear jeans anymore. So even though from grade 8 to grade 9, I grew about 6 inches and I became a very different person. I was no longer that short little fat guy. I was actually kind of a tall, awkward, skinny guy. And the girls started paying attention to me a little bit more. I still didn't wear jeans, for until I think grade 12. My wife, girlfriend at the time, bought me probably my first pair that I had had in a long time. And yeah, that's it. It just, when I realized that, it kind of blew my mind. That one impact, that little comment, a comment that I'm sure the person who made it has no idea, right? That they said it, they meant it, they had that effect. But that just kind of reminded me, okay, well, that's trauma, right? That's what it is to be traumatized. And if that affected me that way, imagine when there's like real trauma, right? Like serious stuff, and how that affects people for the rest of their life. So that was kind of the first part of it, trying to figure out why, and why I didn't want to be a bystander. And then that brought me to the Olympics, another story. Again, if you don't know, I was lucky enough in 2010 to go to Vancouver to photograph the Winter Olympics for the Globe and Mail, won a photo contest. So my wife and I were there, and we traveled by SkyTrain um, to all the events. And one day we were on the SkyTrain, and there was a gentleman sitting in front of us. I think it was a gentleman. I'm not even sure to this day, sitting on the outside. So there was an empty seat on the inside. And another gentleman got on partway through, sat down in front of him. And I remember him turning at one point, because the SkyTrain kept getting busier, of course, and said, why don't you move over? No response from this person. And then, 10 minutes later, it was, I think you should move over. No response still. I'm not even sure the person spoke English. That was part of my concern. And it kept kind of, the suggestions kept getting stronger until finally he turned and he said, if there weren't so many people on this train, I would turn around and smash your fucking face in. And I was like, whoa, right? And so I spoke up as my wife is elbowing me in the side. Don't get involved. Um, I said, you know, I understand that you're frustrated, but I'm not sure violence or your threat is going to make anything better, right? And he just kind of harumphed or, whatever, can't remember exactly, but he turned around, didn't say anything. And then when he got to a station, he got up to get off, he did turn around and he said, you're right. I don't think he said thanks. I don't think he said anything like that, but he did say, you're right. And he left. And that was a big moment for me. Um, because I realized again the power of being of being a bystander. Sorry, of not being a bystander, of speaking up sometimes. Um, yeah, and I feel like even today, um, that's kind of what I'm saying to the world is, you know, okay, we all get caught up in this weird stuff on social media, and we love to post videos that mock the other side. There was this whole Olympic boxer thing, right? That again I won't get into, but does posting something that makes fun of it, or that makes fun of other people, or mocks them, or threatens them, or says they're stupid, or whatever it is, does that do any good, right? Does that get us anywhere other than angrier? And so I kind of want to say to the world, is what you're doing making things better, right? Because that's really what we should be talking about. So as I'm driving, all these thoughts are going through my head, and finally I thought, okay, all this therapy that I haven't gone to a lot of therapy myself, but I've read a lot of therapy books, and thought a lot about things. And in many cases they say, hey, what would you say to that other version of you if you could meet up with that little guy? So I thought about that. I thought, what would I say to that guy? And really, it would just be, who cares, right? Don't worry about what they say or what they think you look like, or you just be you. And I'm very comfortable with that today. Back then, I wasn't, of course. So as I'm having this moment, I'm like, wow. And I started getting goosebumps, got a little teary, because at the same time, I'm listening to some music. And if you know Florence and the Machine, she has this song, can't remember if it's called I'm Free, but the chorus, she sings over and over again, I'm free. I'm free. So here I am having this kind of moment where I'm letting go of this thing, or at least talking to this version of myself in my head, and the song playing I'm free, and it was a really powerful moment, right? And so I wonder if, it got me thinking about, was the trip the night before, nothing really happened then, but was that the work, and then the reward was the next day, kind of, as things started to move around in my head. I don't know the answer to that. All I know is that it was a big moment for me, and quite powerful. And I have to say that also, um, so I got to Aurelia, had to go to a grocery store. Um, this is ironic in my mind, because this is the lesson, that I just was thinking about. As I'm leaving the grocery store, I'm coming out to the main roadway, and there's an advanced right that I can take, and it just changes. And I decide, oh, I'm going to go. For some reason, I'm in a hurry. I'm not really. I'm not a fast driver. My wife, she gets annoyed with me at times, but I try to beat it. And sure enough, there's a woman there who's crossing who kind of turns and looks at me like, what the hell are you doing? And I wave and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And then as I come around, the cars are already coming through the intersection and they're honking at me, and they're quite annoyed. And of course my reaction is, screw you, right? Whatever. And I kind of justify it. I was okay. I was whatever. And then as I keep driving, I think, that was a moment, right? Maybe that was the lesson as well. That you just thought about how you need to be kinder, and you need to be less angry, and you need to think, is what I'm doing making things better? And what I just did there did not make things better. So again, in my head, I apologized to the guy behind me that I cut off. I apologized to the lady who had to um, uh, who I almost cut off. And I just kind of committed to myself at that time, okay, slow down, right? You're in no hurry. You don't need to do stuff like that. Just be who you are. Be who you really are. That goes back to, by the way, the Wood Brothers have a great song that I'll talk about one day that talks about slowing down. Um, but yeah, so that was a good day for me in many ways. Wasn't easy necessarily or comfortable, but I started to understand, okay, this is how I became the person I am. Why can I dress the way I do today? Which, again, I won't say I get made fun of, but certainly in my family, there's some comments made when I dress myself some days, and I'm like, I don't care, right? This is who I am. This is the way I want to dress. This is, as I'm unlearning things, I'm discovering that I don't have to dress or be the person that other people expect me to be. Um, I'm not sure I covered everything I was going to. I had a lot of stuff written down here, but I think that might be good for today. Again, when I talk about being in search of myself, really that's what all of that was about, right? Discovering how I got to be this version of me, and what role those other versions, that little guy, the guy in grade 9 who, by the way, I should have mentioned, was a bystander, right? So even though I came out of the elementary school, and changed going into high school, and I had a great group of friends, they were not always the nicest to other people. And again, my memory's not great. I like to think that I wasn't part of it. There may have been times that I was, but for the most part, I don't think I was. But I was a bystander. I didn't say anything, right? I just let them do it, and I'm not sure that's any better. And that's kind of how I've been shaped to be the person I am today, and why I'll no longer be a bystander. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope there was something in there worthwhile. If you're going to Summerfolk this weekend, I might see you on site. Say hello. Otherwise, I will try to get back to recording things a little more regularly. But who knows, right? Life is busy. Life changes. Lots of things coming up for us in September too. Anyway, be well. Thank you.